It's prime. We're 3 balls in, then we 3 balls out. We all up on your screens like it's prime time's route. Mighty gets a scoring. Oh, and PJ start to scout. Your rhyme's really trash. What do you think he's damn fouls? TBI the show, so buckle down, sit back. And Jay we trust, cause he's the leader of the pack. It's prime, Jewball.
This is TBI 3 balls in alongside Logan and Davo. I'm PJ's. We're back at it. It's a season 3 first episode. Holy smokes. We're back at it again. The premiere. But we didn't know when we had season 1, what would it be? 2 guys, having fun at a draft, getting some cool interviews in. Then we brought on a third ball who probably more popular than the 2 of us combined. And then you got season 2 with a lot of uncertainties. We all, who knew 3 balls could create 4 children? But there you go. And a lot of uncertainties whether we would have a season, whether there would be leagues with all the cancellations, but it all worked out. And now season 3 has so much on the horizon. I want to jump into our first topic of today, and that is what's on everyone's mind after the preseason game number 1, and that is whose stock is up from last year. Davo, hit us up.
Well, guys, great to be back. Great to be sitting with you. Let's get into it. Obviously, we know the risers from last season: Rook, Storm, Waldo, et cetera, et cetera. But the way I look at it is a little bit different, right? If you have let's take a scale, for instance, right? A hotness scale, right? If you have a girl who's, let's say, a 3 and she gets a little glow up and she becomes a 6, that's a little bit impressive, right? It's a jump, from not to that. But if you have a girl who's an 8 or, an 8.5 and she goes to a 10, you're talking about like the magnitude is so much greater than from a 3 to a 6. So in my case, my draft stock on the person who's up the most goes to open. Oh, now you're all gonna think like, oh, he's drafted second round, late second round. This guy who is probably should be the number 1 overall pick. So talking about, he was a second rounder. He was only moving up 1 round, but the magnitude of his rise is greater than, let's say, even someone else, like from a 5th or 6th round to a 2nd, 3rd. It's so tremendous to bypass all the amazing talent that we had. Zin, Solo, Mighty, etc. Tremendous. And that's who I think has the greatest stock rise. PJs?
All I heard is if you have a pizza that's a 7.8 and they change the recipe a little bit and becomes a 9.8, there you go. All right. NCAA. All right. To me, listen, I think Storm is the easy guess there because he was 6th round. He's clearly in the top, 1st, 2nd round arena. I think he'll go somewhere there. But that would be the easy one. I'm going to go a little bit differently, and I'm going Rook because Rook was taken in the last pick in the 8th round. He led the league in interceptions last year, was up there in TD total. If he's not drafted in the first 5 rounds, I'd be so shocked because his stock went up so much. So you're talking about someone drafted in the 8th round. He's going to move up 3 rounds potentially. Says a lot about his improvement in his play, his consistency, and the fact that he was on the championship team Roll Tide and was a pretty big contributor to that team. Logan?
So first of all, great to see you boys. Great to be back. Love that we're doing this again. 3 years. Who would have thought? Anyway, I've got a different take. I think everyone knows that I'm anti-leagues. And I think that this whole discussion of whose stock is rising or, whose stock's high now, I think that's one of the reasons that I'm anti-league. And it's because I think it takes away from Jewball. Yeah, there was an argument to be made that it enhances Jewball, but from my perspective, I think it takes away from a lot of the Jewball aspects. And right now we're talking about whose draft stock is going to be higher, but we have so many great storylines coming in this season, right? Like if you think about it, Snow is back, right? MVP is back, Like that in and of itself, we should be chatting about that all, but all we can talk about is mock drafts and draft. Like, again, like Snow is back. Like that's a huge storyline that no one either in the chat or us is talking about. I mean, also, is this the year of the rat? Right? Does Mighty win MVP this year? Right?
MVP.
He's been an MVP caliber player essentially his entire career. Has not won it. Granted, the MVP award only started a couple of years back, but like, is this the year that is this the year of the rat? We have Prey who's coming back healthy, right, or as close to 100% as he can be. What's Prey's season going to look like now that he can fully go out as quarterback and on defense? Like, he has the chance to have another MVP type caliber season. And then lastly, like, we have a ridiculous rookie class coming in that might even be better than last year's. And we thought last year's was the best rookie class we've seen. So, like, that's like the top of, just 4 storylines that no one's talking about. Again, us or the chat. And it's because we're focused on leagues. Again, I get it, guys like it, but I'm not huge on leagues. So I'd rather focus. Those are the 4 things that are rising in my head, as opposed to the players who are going to get drafted on a night that really only matters for like 8 or so games.
Appreciate and love the rants. I hear you, brother. But give me a person whose stock is up. They want to hear it. They want to know whose stock is up from last year. Give someone credit who impressed the heck out of all of us last season.
I think Beast is coming in strong. Ooh. I think Beast has played a ton of soccer. His cardio's up. He's been lifting weights. I know he's angry. I think Beast stock's up.
Wow. Okay. Let's move on, since we're talking about draft night and we're talking about draft. Well, there's a rumor out there, Davo. I think you helped start this rumor, that there's a potentiality that this year's draft goes snake, meaning if you have,
and not just Purple Cobra, sorry for interrupting there,
True.
but not just Purple Cobra,
True.
We're doing a snake
draft, meaning if you have the 6th pick, which is the 6th overall pick in the first round, you would then have the first pick in the second round. So essentially, you'd have picks 6 and 7 to sort of course correct some of the mistakes that we've had in previous years, where if you're the top team, you're getting the top pick. So what do we say? Is the snake draft a good idea? Or is the snake draft maybe we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here, where, it's nice for fantasy football, but in Jewball football, if you earn getting the top pick, it means that you're not good enough right now, or you're not there on the level of the guy getting the last pick. Davo.
Well, now that you mention it, guys, we have a league that's semi-new, right? It's 3 years in the making, right? Obviously it's the first of its kind in this area of the drafting league. But like you said, right, fantasy football, snake draft is the most popular. Fantasy football is a $9.48 billion revenue creating league.
Wow, look at you.
Okay. Clearly,
that's research.
They're onto something. Clearly, they are smarter than us. We haven't gotten that amount of money yet. Sponsorships are still available. But, guys, this is the way to do it. Yes, the first team might look at the past 2 years. Cronies by far had the best team.
Yeah.
Yes.
Top Guns definitely won the draft.
You mean the paper draft?
Correct.
The only thing they won.
Just about.
Okay, all right. Move on.
Right?
You're doing well.
Now, yes, Dax did draft a great team, and Roll Tide was great. But that won't happen again because, like you said, Zin came in, no one really knew how good he was. Open came in, no one really knew how good he was. Morty was kind of just shoved in the 3rd round to his brother. No one really understood how good he was, So that team kind of formed on the unknown. But the only way to do it is to have a snake. Otherwise, you're just going to load up one team again. The last team is going to kind of like fumble around to try to get the best players available. And why should we just always load one team up? It doesn't make any sense. Are you saying that the first guys picking overall is so bad that we just need to give them a good team to make the league competitive?
Logan, thoughts? Are you with Davo here, or are you against Davo?
No, I'm with Davo on this one. I think
balls stick together.
If you look at fantasy, right, like just about all drafts go snake. If you think about any any organization, NBA, NFL, NHL, all those, the reason that they're not snake is because they have cohesive teams that are together, and all they're doing is adding a piece or two, the rookie class, if you will. But they have their team from last year. Here, you have a quarterback from last year, and we have some quarterbacks who didn't even play last year. Perla, Snow, potentially Gronk didn't play. Like, we have guys, so they have nothing to do with last year. So to put them randomly in some order and then have them have to pick at that spot. Also, like, if you think about it, in past years, we had 4 teams. This year, we're going to have 5 teams or maybe even 6 teams. The discrepancy between the team picking first in every single round versus the team that's picking last in every single round, if there's 6 teams, like, it's just after round 2, you probably will be not like the team picking last is really going to, have slim pickings over there. And again, I think to Davo's point, which I'll just reiterate, like, Dax, and I don't, this is not to take away from Roll Tide. Roll Tide's champions, they had a great year. Dax did a great job drafting. However, no one knew Zinn, no one knew Open. There's no way either of those guys would have lasted to the last of the first round or the last of the second round. They would have been drafted earlier. And again, maybe Dax still would have had a great draft, and maybe he still would have led the team to a championship. And again, I'm sure my words will get misconstrued, and someone's going to say, "Hey, he hates Roll Tide." I'm not knocking Roll Tide at all.
Yeah,
but I just think that without a snake draft, this year's draft, especially with the additional teams, it's going to be much, much harder for that team picking last to succeed.
Yeah, listen, I wanted to kind of stay out of this debate, but I got to jump myself in here. Listen, it's an interesting point you both make, but this is where I'm going to kind of disagree with you, which is why I think for Jewball, snake doesn't work. There is a discrepancy of talent between the winning quarterback, the championship winning quarterback, and the guy picking first. And we've seen that historically. Now, yes, it didn't work out well for Gronk a couple of years ago. 100% he ended up with Munch and Solo, which was, again, a couple of guys got a little overrated, overdraft. Some guys were whatever. Solo fell to him in the second round. You would argue, well, if you had Snake that year, then the guy picking last, which was Prey would have had Mighty and Solo, right? But the point was that
Prey. Do you hear that, Prime?
The point is that Prey was the championship winning quarterback. There's an expectation when you're your own, who has never won, but you're your own and your Prey and your Dax, that your talent, again, all those 3 guys are, no offense to the guys in the top, on the top 3 picks, those 3 on the bottom are so much more talented and can yield their team to more victories as a result of the talent they have at quarterback. Now, does that mean that they should be penalized by having a worse team? I don't think that's true, because I think we have a huge pool of talent in Jewball. I don't think going to traditional first round, second round, third round, sticking in the same draft order is a bad idea. I think sticking to it actually helps out the bottom teams and the quarterbacks who could benefit from having the top options at line, the top options at receiver. If they choose to mess up their draft and they don't draft, correctly, it will make a difference whether you're snake or not snake. They're just bad at drafting. If they're a quarterback who can't bring a team together, it makes no difference where they are. We know Dax can put a team together. We know Yaron with cheating can put a team together. We know Prey has won a championship, putting together probably he probably had the least knowledge of players he was playing with when he put his team together. The idea here that we have to go to snake to sort of help out the top tier quarterbacks is a big mistake. Again, I hear the points you're making. You're not wrong, but I just think that if we're going to shift to go to snake, the top tier teams are going to be better, and the bottom tier teams are just going to be All right, our final topic of this episode, and I think it's an interesting one, is should the draft stick to its October schedule, or should we push it off to later in the season? Logan, your thoughts?
I'm for pushing it off.
Ooh.
I think if you look back at last year, and again, I'm not taking anything from Roll Tide, but there's no way Zinn, Open, and Dax all end up on the same team if we knew who they were, right? If we had 3 or 4 weeks of play and everyone got to see these guys play, yeah, preseason, 1 week, whatever. Like, no one really pays attention to preseason. Sorry, Yaron, but like, no one saw these guys play. There's no way they all end up. And
I'm
there's
pretty
no
sure you saw Zinn play.
I had coverage over the top and it wasn't there. Don't do that. That's not fair.
I'm pretty sure you're looking like this.
I know exactly who was supposed to be the safety, and I'm not going to call him out, but I know exactly who's supposed to be there.
Again, it's preseason, so it doesn't matter.
Exactly. So anyway, there's no way that the draft happens in the order that it does. I think the more informed our quarterbacks can be, then the better draft they will have, which will lead to more competitive teams. And if you are someone who likes leagues, then the more competitive the league is, the better, which means you want a more even team. You don't want 2 teams that are great and 3 teams or 4 teams that are bad. You want an even playing field. You don't want one team running away with it. Again, to increase competitiveness. So I think pushing it off a little bit, again, assuming that you can still work out the league weeks and not, run into snow issues and things like that. If you can push it off and still make leagues work, I think it's better for the league.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you, Logan. And I'll give you a different take here. So there's a guy that I know who was, a former number 1 pick in Jewball. And if there's any shot we got of him coming out of retirement, we push the draft off. I say we push it off till, I don't know, till December, till January, when Snow Pup makes his comeback and he feels the joy and the love of playing football again. And then we hold a draft that moment there, right there. We do it in the snow, on the field. We barbecue. And, okay, it's not going to be in Rabin's backyard, but we all stand in there in the cold and we announce singers in the draft. But with that said, another reason is that I think we get, like you said, we get more talent, the opportunity to play, to see how people play with each other. A quarterback, a captain last year, I'm not going to name names, told me I didn't draft a certain guy because when I play with him, I feel like he doesn't do the things I ask. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I hear that perspective, but maybe this season he's different. So it almost gives you that opportunity, having a couple weeks in the books to say, oh yeah, I really gel well with that guy, or yeah, that guy can't block for me, I'm not drafting him, or I wouldn't even take him in the later part of the draft. I think it just gives more people the opportunity to show off what they can do. And again, like you said, not relying on preseason, which is not a good indicator of where someone's at in football. David, do you agree or disagree with us?
Sitting here thinking that I'm the only sane one on this couch really makes me rethink my life. What are you guys talking about? Munch is not coming back. Singer is not coming back. It's not happening. And Logan, if you don't understand who these players are, what are you doing drafting? Do your research. What do you mean? Like, hello, you don't know who has. There's like 4 or 5 new players. That's not going to change the game. Yeah, okay, you say it changed roll tide. Yaron knew who they were. Prey knew who they were. You want to say Fight didn't know who they were? I could have done his damn research. Part of my French kid show. Guys, it's simple. The draft is what it is. It's supposed to be a sukkah / right after sukkah's party that's not in the sukkah. It is tradition. We keep tradition here. You don't know, you don't know. Do your research. Text somebody. Hey, do you know how this player is? Hey, Dave, you have 9,000 million mock drafts. Is this guy good? Yes. No, it's simple. Do your research. Draft well. Don't be stucky. Let's do this. Come on.
One second here. So you're saying rely on a cell phone. Rely on a phone
to write a letter. Call, pick up a phone.
Wait a second. Maybe a guy lost weight. Maybe a guy, came back from head, was injured last year. You just didn't know about it. And now is potentially better.
What do you mean you don't know about it? How do you not know about it?
Maybe a guy was playing hurt and you just didn't know. Not everyone, sorry, Mike, not everybody actually, glorifies their injuries. I'm just saying there are people who maybe played hurt, or maybe something happened in their life and they were not at their best.
You have regularly games where everybody plays with everybody. Every QB knows who he likes to play with or not already. Okay, so you want to see the few new guys that even still, 1 or 2 games is not going to be enough to learn how to gel with somebody.
I know, but this notion that you're going to go based on a scouting report of people who, again, have not seen this guy in months. Listen, if they showed up to preseason and they were as bad as they were the year before, as good as they were the year before, I hear your perspective. But getting actual Jewball games that matter, I think, is so much more influential to a captain. Logan, do you agree?
No,
at this point?
I mean, just the idea that we switch teams every down on preseason tells you you're not really playing football. You're just playing catch with.
Okay, so change preseason. But it doesn't make sense to have games 1, 2, 3, and 4 played, and then do a draft, and then this and that.
Why? The regular season has no impact on leagues.
There's so many things that can happen. A guy can get hurt week 2, then all of a sudden that changes the whole draft, and this and that. Is he coming back? Is he going to come
Yeah,
back?
and
later?
wouldn't you like to know that? I don't know.
What do you-
By the way, I think
But that's
more-
all. That's the whole point of the draft.
We
being
may
early,
not
is that
agree.
this is who's available. This is who is committing. And again, like think about it. If a guy, let's say Ivry, right? Ivry had injury issues last year.
Right.
Let's say by week 3 he's injured. Maybe he's coming back week 7. Maybe he's coming back week 12. So now if I'm able to pick him up in the 5th, 6th round, I'm getting such a steal there.
But here's the beauty of it, Dave.
How's that for
And
him?
I don't like using a guy like Ivry as an example, but since you already did it, let's continue it. Let's say a guy like Ivry, who has admittedly said in the draft, in the chat, that he's not sure what his draft status is right now. He hopes to be ready. You would know the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season, Ivry hasn't played. Maybe I'm not using a 1st or 2nd round pick, even though he is
Even though
1st or
he's
2nd round pick talent. I'm not going to use him there. Maybe he's like going back to fantasy here. Maybe he's a 4th or 5th round pick, like a Jonathan Taylor,
This
a
is
guy who's on the
the
top
whole
list.
thing
You're
we
not sure
did with
about.
Munch, and then Munch dropped to the 4th, and then everyone complained, collusion.
Look,
It becomes so this that. It just do it. Just keep it the way it is. It's been working almost so far, except for the fact that we don't have the snake draft. Let's keep it the way it is. Let's get it going. Let's just get it. I'm more upset that we don't have football for a month. We get like 2 little preseason games, and then we have to wait 5 weeks till an actual game gets played.
look, we may agree to disagree, but I think we're all missing the bigger picture. The bigger picture is that we had 3 topics and Davo was able to make a decision and had a stance on all 3 of them. He was not on the fence on any of them. If that doesn't get you excited for season 3 of TBI, then I don't know what will.
I may not know what side of the fence to be on, but at least I'm on a side of it.
That's exactly right.
Congratulations, Davo.
Davo's TBI stock is going up.
That's right.
Well, it couldn't go any further down. So there we go. Guys, what a great opportunity to be back at it. Next week's episode, we are doing a pre-draft mock draft live on TBI. We're going to kind of go through the first couple rounds of where we think people are going to fall, where we think people are going to draft. We'll have that in our next episode. So much more to look forward to. We are 3 balls in, and we are now
3 balls
Out.
Have a great week, everybody.
Balls in, then we 3 balls out. We all up on your screens like it's prime time sprout. Mighty